Few comments about sprint review. As the diagram illustrates, there's just one sprint review for all the teams together. Who's there? The real owner of the product, who's the product owner, real hands-on customers and users or people that you can get as close like that, and of course the teams together. How to do the sprint review in LeSS? Well, first of all, it's large-scale Scrum. And one of the big and deep ideas in Scrum is that it's a meta-process framework for empirical process control, where on purpose these specific techniques are left silent, not because people can't think of techniques, but because we want to encourage situationally appropriate, we want to encourage continuous improvement, and we want people to own their ideas about how they run a review rather than rent them from someone else. So broadly, LeSS says nothing about how it must be done. If there's only, the smallest case, 2 teams on a product, then you could pretty simply kind of serialize inspecting and looking and playing with the features sort of all together. But as you go to larger and larger product groups, that serialization of all together is going to potentially slow you down because you've only got the same maximum time box time as in one team Scrum, which is a couple of hours in a 2-week sprint. So not a lot of time. Early feedback within the sprint is always a good idea, and doubly so in the case of LeSS because we've got so many more items to explore and play with. And so this reduces the batch size of the amount of looking and playing and stuff and getting feedback. And so we encourage that. One of the techniques that we suggest from an infinite number of techniques for doing a review is a kind of a science fair or a bazaar that we call a sprint review bazaar. For example, this is a company in Saskatoon, Canada, the uranium capital of the world, but more importantly, the hometown of what Rolling Stone survey identified as the most important #1 female singer-songwriter of the 20th century. Joni Mitchell. Yeah. I was coaching a class a while ago where one of the members came up to me after I said that, because I love Joni Mitchell, and she said to me, "Who's Joni Mitchell?" You know you're getting old when your audience asks who's Joni Mitchell, but that's fine, of course. What was my point? Oh yeah, so this was in Saskatoon. This is a company that's been adopting LeSS. They do digital reputation management software. Did you know there's billions and billions of dollars in digital reputation management? I didn't know that. And the idea is that there's different workstation areas. We're going parallel. We're doing it in terms of diverging and merging. We're in a diverge phase where there's different workstation areas set up. And that's one laptop with some features that are the focus of that area. And that guy there was, if I recall, a product manager in the product management group. This was like a 150-person product group. And some of the people around are team members, and he's playing with the features that are the focus of that area. And you might be able to see some little pieces of paper on the table there, and whenever he's got any questions or comments, they write them down on the little pieces of paper to record that. And there's a big, beautiful gong, and after a certain time box period, let's say after every 15 minutes, the product owner, who's also in the room, he bangs the gong after 15 minutes or 10 minutes, And then people who were there get up and they go to another area, the product managers, users, customers, and then after another cycle they go to another area. So there's more parallel looking and playing with all of the features. And more or less, the way this group runs it is that the first half of the 2-hour review will be focused on that looking at the features. And then in the second half of the sprint review, part one of the second half is that all of the papers are collected, somebody kind of prioritizes them, and then gives them to the product owner. That guy there standing up, he's the head of product management, who in LeSS we normally recommend we play the role of product owner. And he's now going through all of these feedback questions and papers.
Switches will get switched off, but it's right away, basically.
And then getting information from the audience to a discussion. And then after they've gone through all of those papers, he has a kind of open conversation with everybody about questions of, so here's where I'm thinking about going next. These are my priorities coming up for my thought for the next sprint. This is what's going on with our competition, and getting advice and feedback from the different group about where they think he should be prioritizing and going next as well. And that ends the review. So that's an idea for how to do a review in LeSS.